Week 7 is in the books, and a lot of people are going to talk about Broncos Giants. I mean, how great was that game? A lot of people are going to talk about the Chiefs and their offense with Rashee Rice back and Travis Kelsey looking good again. There's so much to talk about from this NFL slate, but we're not normal. We're going to talk about the Jets because we have to talk about the Jets because there's something new every day in Jets land, sitting at 0-7, winless. Probably will never win ever again for eternity. But we'll also talk about Drake May, who's been just amazing, and we'll talk about Jalen Hurts. And we have a little bit of time at the end. Maybe we'll talk just smidge of Boston Celtic basketball because the season starts here in a couple of days, at least for the Celtics. But let's start, as we always do, with the New York Jets because don't we want to be happy, right? Don't we want to sit here and just talk about a team that's 0-7? And I mean, they're awesome. They're great. They're well run. They have a great owner. They have a great coach. They have a great quarterback. No, maybe one day. Maybe one day. But no, Jets made some news today. Again, probably for the wrong reasons. You had an announcement from Woody Johnson / Rich Samini, and then you had some comments from Woody Johnson, which we'll get into. But the Jets have benched Justin Fields for Tyrod Taylor. Fields starts 6 games in his Jets tenure. And based off of Woody Johnson's comments, I don't know if he's ever going to see the field again as a New York Jet. In those 6 starts for Justin Fields, he was 31st in EPA per play, 23rd in success rate, 25th in completion percentage over expectation, 31st in QBR. He didn't turn the ball over much, only 3 fumbles, no interceptions, but a 14% sack percentage. It was the second worst of his career and the second worst in the NFL. He lost the second most EPA on sacks. And this is a guy that only started 6 games, didn't even get in the full 7, and he left early in one of those games too, and he got benched in another one. So we're talking about maybe 5 complete games here. So it was a bumpy ride for Justin Fields. Week 1, we were at a super high coming off that Steelers loss, if you forgot. But it felt like this offense had something. It felt like Tanner Engstrand was the next hot offensive coordinator. Maybe Justin Fields is the next story when it comes to revitalized careers of the Sam Darnold and Geno Smiths and Daniel Jones of the world. But that wasn't the case. After week 1, it had gone downhill very quick. When you talk about the Bills game, the Bucks game, the Cowboys game, the Panthers game, it was all bad. I mean, we talked about in the last episode, but the Jets have one real touchdown since week 1, and that was Justin Fields' insane 40-yard scramble on 4th down against the Miami Dolphins. That is the only non-fourth quarter touchdown that the Jets have scored outside of week 1. So it's not shocking that this move happened. And I think it was the right move because when you look at what Justin Fields was doing against the Panthers, he wasn't doing anything against the Panthers. He had 6 drives in the first half this past Sunday. Those 6 drives, 22 yards, 17 yards, 33 yards, 3 yards, 7 yards, 13 yards. This is just the total plays on these drives. That was 95 yards of offense in a half against the Carolina Panthers and their defense. In the second half, Tyrod Taylor took over, and his drives, 21 yards, 41 yards, 56 yards, and his final 2 drives, he didn't gain a single yard. He had 0 yards on his 5th drive, 0 yards on his 6th drive. And even still, that still added up to 118 yards of total offense, 20 more yards than what Justin Fields could muster up. And again, 2 of those drives, he didn't have a single yard. So the offense definitely moved better with Tyrod Taylor on the field. And I think Aaron Glenn recognized that. I hope the coaching staff recognized that, which is why they're going to Tyrod Taylor. And this isn't some 1 or 2 game benching of Justin Fields, but rather Tyrod's the better quarterback right now. And the upside's not there with him because he's not this young, exciting quarterback. But right now, that's not what the Jets need. The Jets can't even look for upside. They need to look for a competent quarterback that can actually allow us to evaluate the offensive line and some of the skill position players, but most importantly, Tanner Engstrand, because we don't know what he is yet. Again, in week 1, he looked great, but beyond that, it's been rather disappointing. And we've seen in years past, whether it was LaFleur or Hackett or whatever other coordinators have been in one Jets drive over the last few years. When they've had incompetent quarterback play, like Zach Wilson, the offense has looked terrible. But we saw some instances when Mike White was in there, and it's like, okay, hold on, LaFleur might actually know what he's doing. And Nathaniel Hackett is terrible, period. But Nathaniel Hackett with Zach Wilson was god awful. And with Aaron Rodgers, it's like, okay, this is at least a movable offense. So Tanner Engstrand has a chance with Tyrod Taylor, who is not special by any means. He's still a bottom 2 or 3 starting quarterback in football. But I think you're hoping you're going to have less negative plays. You're not going to take as many sacks, and the offense could just consistently move the ball down the field at a higher rate. As I just mentioned, in 3 drives, 2 of the 3 moved the ball 40 plus yards. And today's NFL, that's getting you at least 3 points. So I think the baseline, or at least the floor, with Tyrod Taylor is much higher than it is with Justin Fields. And truthfully, the ceiling probably isn't that much different. We have seen Tyrod Taylor hit big plays in previous seasons. We have seen him use his legs. He still has mobility even in his mid-30s. So I think overall it was the right move. But that's only part one of what was going on in Jets world today. Because the second part was Woody Johnson going to the media and talking. Why was he talking to the media? I don't know. I don't know why he was talking to the media. I know the NFL had some meetings in New York City today with meetings of the NFL. Of course, press is going to be there, media is going to be there, and you had some Jets media there who ran into Woody Johnson. Now, it didn't seem like this wasn't like this press conference setting where there was 30 reporters and Woody's at a podium. No, he was just standing in a lobby of, I'm assuming, some hotel of some kind with maybe 5 to 10 reporters around him, just asking questions. It felt very informal to the point where it made me think, did you have to do this? Like, this isn't necessary. I didn't hear any quotes from any other owners. I'm sure they answered questions, but of course, not noteworthy because a lot of owners know how to talk to the press. Regardless, though, Woody Johnson made some comments that are going to make Jets fans maybe happy, maybe sad, depending on what side of the coin you're on. But let's get into it. There's really 3 different things that I want to get into. But first of all, the one of the first questions they were asked was just about his faith and his confidence in Aaron Glenn. And if Aaron Glenn is able to turn this thing around as they currently stand at 0-7. He said yes. He 100% trusts Aaron Glenn. He knows he's the right guy for this job. And they can start winning, quotes, if we can just complete a pass. Okay, Woody Johnson, I feel like I can say that as someone who is on YouTube with, not the owner of the New York Jets and just a fan who could just kind of say his thoughts, and no one can really hold me to it because I'm a fan at the end of the day. But you, as the billionaire owner, shouldn't probably say this, but again, you're a billionaire owner, so you can do whatever the hell you want. Moving on. Woody Johnson says he hugs Aaron Glenn every day and tells him he believes in him. Something I would have kept to myself personally. Like, I'm not trying to brag, right? I'm usually a humble guy, but I really feel like I could do better at these press conferences than Woody Johnson and Aaron Glenn more often than not. If someone asks me, like, do you have confidence in Aaron Glenn? Instead of saying if we could just complete a pass, it'd be like, yeah, I have all the confidence in the world in Aaron Glenn. He's proven to be a great leader with his time in Detroit, with his time as a player in New York. I know it's been a slow start. None of us were expecting, none of us are pleased to be 0-7, but I still believe in Aaron Glenn. I think he turned around. Is that so difficult? Do I have to go and shit on Justin Fields? Moving on, do I have to say I hug Aaron Glenn every day? And maybe Woody is just, maybe he was just trying to make a joke, make a lighthearted situation feel, or maybe a heavy heart situation feel lighthearted because it's so gloom in Jets land. But something I just would have kept to myself personally. And lastly, another comment here in terms of his confidence level in Aaron Glenn being able to turn around. Woody Johnson said, well, it looks like he's turning around parts of it. It's hard when you have a quarterback with a quarterback rating that he's got, him meaning Justin Fields, I assume. He says, I mean, he has ability, but something just is not jiving. But if you look at any head coach of a quarterback like that, you're going to see similar results if you were across the league. Again, it just feels like unnecessary comments and unnecessary shots at Justin Fields. I'm not Justin Fields' defender. I came up here. I told you the stats. He's been playing awful. He should get benched. He shouldn't be on the Jets next season. That's the truth of Justin Fields. In the same breath, he's probably going to be on the team for the rest of the season. We still have 3 months that we have to endure watching Jets football, and that's 3 months that Justin Fields has to go into the Jets facility. That's 3 months that Justin Fields has to interact with Aaron Glenn and other members of the coaching staff and other people in corporate positions in the Jets organization, and probably interact with Woody Johnson himself. Maybe Woody doesn't give a damn. Maybe Woody's like, I don't care about Justin Fields. If we cut him tomorrow, it wouldn't impact me. I don't care about the dead money. I don't care about anything. And if that's really how you want to, if that's how you want to die on your sword, Woody Johnson, all the power to you. But I don't think it's the right move to make. When other players around football are going to eventually see these comments, potentially now, potentially in the offseason, if they're a free agent, how do you think that's going to go over? How do you think it's going to go over if the owner of your potential franchise that you're signing a contract to would publicly bash you and just say, yeah, just complete a pass, right? Just we'd be able to win if we could complete a pass. Maybe what if he said something to you saying it's hard when you have a quarterback who has a quarterback rating like that? Man, I do my best to try to defend the Jets in the smallest, slightest ways possible because they don't give me a lot of reasons to defend the Jets. But it's hard to defend this. And Woody is a billionaire who owns and runs the team, so he can do whatever the hell he wants. But this isn't the way you go about it, right? This isn't the way. Like, do you see the Eagles owner or the Chiefs owner or the Lions or any of these well-run organizations, their owners are coming out and publicly bashing players that are currently signed to them, not only for this year, but also for next year that has guaranteed money on his contract? We've seen Woody bash like Zach Wilson before in like 2024, but it was in the offseason when we already knew that Zach Wilson was going to be gone. This is the first time I could remember, at least, where Woody Johnson was bashing a current player who is under contract for multiple seasons. So to recap, the Jets are benching Justin Fields for Tyrod Taylor. Right move. Aaron Glenn needs to get some wins on the board. But Woody Johnson isn't making it easier because in tomorrow's press conference, when Aaron Glenn goes up there, there's going to be questions about this. Rich Samini or Connor Hughes or one of these guys are going to go up there and ask him, what do you think about your comments about Justin Fields? What do you think of Woody's comments saying that, it's really not Aaron Glenn's fault, it's the quarterback's fault? It just causes unnecessary drama. But I mean, what are the Jets without drama, right? We at least you can't be a shit football team and have no drama, right? At least be interesting. And the Jets sure make it interesting. Okay, that's enough Jets talk. Let's talk about some positives. Drake Maye. Wow. Drake Maye. Now, if you're new around here, Drake Maye was someone that I loved coming out of college, coming out of UNC. I loved Caleb Williams as well. Caleb Williams was someone like I watched. I at least tried to watch nearly every game of him in college. And I'm not a huge college football guy, but he was just so special and electric. But once that quarterback class came around in 2024, I was like, everyone's in on Caleb. Everyone loves Caleb Williams. I'm not going to be this Caleb stan in the NFL because truthfully, it felt like a cop-out. It felt like, Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck coming in. Everyone was giving him all these hype and they're a guaranteed lock to be a future Hall of Famer. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I like Caleb, but I don't know if I want to be part of his hive. But I thought Drake Maye was just as good. I thought Caleb Williams and Drake Maye were in the same tier of prospects. And I was like, I don't think he's getting enough respect. So I'm like, you know what? I'm a Drake Maye guy. When he goes into the draft where he goes, I'm going to root for him. This is going to be my guy. I haven't had a guy recently, right? I've been a Lamar guy. I've been a Jalen Hurts guy, but I've struck out on Anthony Richardson and Trey Lance. So I'm like, I need a young quarterback that can, be the next guy I root for going forward. When he got drafted to the Pats, I was sick because obviously, New York Jets fan, I don't want to root for the New England Patriots, but he got drafted number 3 overall, and I'm kind of forced to root for the New England Patriots now. And it's not like the Jets are doing anything anyway, so who really gives a damn? But anyway, against the Titans, Drake Maye is 21 for 23. That's a 91% completion percentage, by the way. First Pats quarterback in their history to throw at least 20 passes and have a completion percentage over 90%. You might know a guy who played there for a long time. Tom Brady did not do that. He had 284 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 136 passer rated. He tied Tom Brady with 4 games of 200 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 135 passer rating. Brady did that in his 2007 season, of course, when they go undefeated up until the Super Bowl. Shout out to Jordan Schultz for putting some of those numbers together. And the Pats win this game 31-13. On the season, Drake Maye is first in completion percentage, second in yards per attempt, First in passer rating, first in completion percentage over expectation, first in EPA per play, fifth in success rate, seventh in QBR. We did our MVP ladders, I think last week at this point on Pick a Side. I had Drake May third, and looking back on it now, I think I might have been too low. Right now, Drake May is playing maybe like the best quarterback in football. Mahomes has been awesome too, and I had Mahomes number one, but I had Baker number two. After this week, Baker is not number two. Drake May is number two. It's him and Mahomes 1A, 1B when it comes to MVP. I think the one thing you could look at Drake May right now and say you don't have is just a schedule. Outside of the Bills win, they haven't played a lot of great teams, right? Like they just came off this win against the Titans. They beat the Dolphins. They lost the Raiders week one. There just hasn't been a lot of competition for Drake May, which I think the one thing you could point at compared to Patrick Mahomes, who's had a much more difficult schedule. But just by the numbers, he's been special, right? I listed all the things he is first in or top 7 in, whether it's basic stats or advanced stats. And most importantly, eye test, he passed it with flying colors. I mean, he is calm in the pocket. He can use his legs. He is an elite deep ball thrower. He has awesome touch. He throws anticipation. He has great ball placement. He's an awesome quarterback right now. He turned 23 less than 2 months ago. He turned 23 less than 2 months ago. This man is fresh 23. I mean, there's quarterbacks in college. Carson Beck is going to come out and be 24 years old. This guy is in year 2 in the NFL and just tearing it up. A couple more numbers for you. He's completing 75% of passes, by the way. I know I said first in completion percentage. 75% of his passes are being completed. 1.9% turnover-worthy play rate, 7th best in the NFL. 5.1% big-time throw rate, 8th best in the NFL. The New England Patriots have a top 10 scoring offense. The New England Patriots have a top 10 third down offense. And the New England Patriots have a top 2 fourth down offense. If you would have told me that when the season started, I would say, oh yeah, there's only one way they're doing it. Drake May's MVP. And Drake May is MVP right now because the rushing offense is inconsistent at best. Ramondre just had his best game of the season, so props to him against the Titans. But still, even with that game, he's averaging 3.6 yards per attempt. Travion Henderson is the third string running back now. Even after Antonio Gibson tore his ACL, he is still behind Jennings. I don't even know the guy's first name. He's like a day 3 or undrafted free agent that nobody knew, and he's getting more touches than Travion Henderson. I will say this Pats offensive line has been awesome. I think that's the one area you got to give credit. We could talk about the receiving room and the tight end room and the running backs and all of this stuff, but this offensive line has stepped up in a big way. To me, we talk a lot about young quarterbacks. We talk about the next generation of quarterbacks. Even the current generation is just still in their late 20s. But this is the guy. When we're talking who's going to enter the Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen tier, it's Drake May. I think Jaden Daniels is awesome. I think Joe Burrow is fantastic. And Joe Burrow's in this tier too, so I don't want to say he's not, but just coming off the injury. I think Justin Herbert is great. He deserves to be in this conversation too. Dak Prescott's great. But they're not Drake May. None of these guys are Drake May. Drake May is playing at an MVP level when the situation around him is putrid. Again, I shouldn't say putrid. When the situation around him isn't great, because coming into the season, I think most people recognize New England as a probably bottom 5 offensive situation in football when you take into account, you have weapons that aren't exactly proven outside of Stephon Diggs, who's coming back from an injury. You have a running back room that was mostly underwhelming. Everyone loved Trayvon Henderson. He's not even playing. It's Ramondre Stevenson back there who fumbles the damn football every single game. And it's Josh McDaniels who I know a lot of Pats fans have been in my comments recently like, Josh McDaniels is a great coach. He's a great offensive mind, this and that. He's a good offensive coordinator. Is anybody in the NFL looking at Josh McDaniels saying, oh my God, you know what? Let's give him another chance at head coach. We need him at play caller. No, I think we recognize Josh McDaniels' limitations. He was great with Tom Brady, was good with Mac Jones too, but outside of that, hasn't worked really anywhere else. Something about New England, something about that era. I think it has to do with the quarterback though. And Drake May is playing at such an elite level right now. It seems insane for a quarterback this young to be this successful with this little help around him. Again, he doesn't have a Tyreek Hill or a Travis Kelce like Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have a Keenan Allen like Justin Herbert did early in his career. He doesn't have a prime Stephon Diggs like Josh Allen did when he broke out. He doesn't have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He doesn't have any of this. He doesn't have an offensive line like Jalen Hurts has had throughout his career. All of these other quarterbacks that have been in these top 5 to 6 talks have had something, whether it's elite weapon or weapons, elite offensive line, elite running back, great play caller, something. All of these guys have had something. And Drake Maye really has had none of it. And he's still taking this team to another level. With that being said, I'm expecting them to kind of run through the regular season. The rest of season schedule for them is really easy. I'll pull it up here. But there's no reason why they shouldn't win probably 10 games at a minimum with the way Drake Maye is playing. So next up, you got Cleveland. They just beat Miami, but Cleveland's Cleveland. You have Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Those are 2 difficult games. I'll give them that. But then it's the Jets, Cincinnati, the Giants. You got the Jets again and Miami on the schedule. You still got Buffalo and Baltimore in between. But I'm looking at the schedule. You have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 10 games left. Versus Buffalo, at Baltimore, at Tampa Bay. Versus Atlanta, I guess. Those are 4 difficult-ish games. Say you win one of them, that's at 6 wins. Now you got to find 4 wins, whether it's Cleveland, the Jets twice, Miami, Cincinnati, the Giants. This feels like a 10-win team. This feels like a team that's going to be in the wild card in the first round of the playoffs. Man, I'm excited to see Drake Maye play some playoff football. Moving on, though, last topic, or maybe second to last topic. We'll talk a little bit about the Celtics here at the end. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles' passing attack was awesome against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Hurts was 19 for 23, 326 yards. That's 17 yards per completion. It was explosive after explosive for this offense. 3 passing touchdowns, a perfect 158.3 passer rating. The offense as a whole averaged over 7 yards per play. I think what's most impressive about this is when we look at last season, look at really the last 2 to 3 seasons, there's been a lot of discourse around Jalen Hurts, and I feel like I'm the perfect person personally to discuss Jalen Hurts, because you have people who put him in like top 5 talks, top 3 talks, best quarterback in the world because he wins and he's Super Bowl MVP, all this. I'm not that guy. But I was one of the very few Jalen Hurts believers and truthers early on in his career. I'm talking about year 1 when Carson Wentz was still there and stinking it up. I said, get Jalen Hurts in. He's better. And the last couple weeks of the season when he did get in, I did think he looked good. And his first year as the full-time starter when they lost to the Bucs in the playoffs, I said, Hurts is not the problem. I think this is a franchise quarterback. Then 2022 came around. He had the MVP season. They go to the Super Bowl, and everyone loves Jalen Hurts, right? So I'm someone who has been there at the beginning when it comes to Jalen Hurts. I've seen all the ups. I've seen all of the downs. So I don't really feel an agenda to push him as like this superstar, elite, top 5, no doubt about franchise quarterback. But I'm also not somebody who is just consistently hated on him. So I'm going to take away all the things that he has done or what he has done basically this season and in previous seasons. With that being said, in previous years, Jalen Hurts has undoubtedly benefited from a great situation. He had Saquon Barkley last year rush for 2,000 yards. He's had a top offensive line for every year he started. He's had 2, I would say, good play callers when it was Shane Steichen and Kellen Moore. So and lastly, who's drafted to the Eagles, who are constantly having great players on offense and defense and typically make the right moves in free agency and in the draft. So that more than anything is really why Jalen Hurts has had a lot of success here. But this year is different. This year, the offensive line isn't at 100%. And, some of the guys that were there last season, Kai Becton isn't there any longer. You've had injuries across this offensive line. The offensive line's fallen off. It was the best unit in football last season, has been the best unit. This year, it's kind of middle of the pack. It's average at best. I think you definitely see it when it comes to run blocking. Saquon Barkley this season, he hasn't been it. He's on pace for less than 1,000 rushing yards as we currently stand. This game against Minnesota. Minnesota has been a defense that you could run the ball on. 18 carries for 44 yards. It's less than 2.5 a carry for Saquon Barkley. This rushing attack was consistently getting stuffed at the line of scrimmage. There was multiple times where Saquon Barkley got the ball 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage because Jalen Hurts hands the ball off, and he's met by multiple Vikings defenders. This is not an offense where everything is perfect around Jalen Hurts and he's just, a chess piece. No, right now he is this passing offense. He is this offense. I think that's why you've seen some inconsistency when it comes to the Eagles, when it comes to their offense and just their production, because Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. He's not elite. He's not this carry you to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl quarterback like Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and those dudes. He's not that guy. But what Jalen Hurts has shown you is when he does have a good situation around him, he can play at an MVP level. And right now, we're witnessing one of the few times in his career where he needs to step up, where he needs to play at a high level in order for this offense to rock, because Saquon Barkley isn't doing him any favors. The offensive line isn't doing any favors. And Kevin Patullo, sure as hell, isn't doing any favors. Over the last month, Hurts is 10th in EPA per play. He's 9th in completion percentage over expectation. On the season, he's 5th in passer rating and 7th in completion percentage. Overall, I know there's been some ugly things from Jalen Hurts in this offense, but overall, I don't think it's Hurts' fault. He had some bad games. The Giant game really sticks out where I was like, yo, this is unacceptable. This is one of the worst games you have played in some years. But other than that, I think it's the stuff around him that really is the issue. And even with that being said, I still don't know if I trust this offense. I still don't know if I trust Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts, and this Eagles offense to consistently generate points and put up yards on a down-to-down basis. And the main reason is because this team, for whatever reason, does not have easy buttons. When I'm saying easy buttons, I'm talking about easy completions, whether it's play action, whether it's screens, whether it's quick game, RPO. They don't have easy buttons. Everything right now is difficult. It's downfield passing attacks, or it's super, super short, 5 yards down the field to try to get A.J. Brown the ball in some space. There isn't anything easy happening for this offense. When you watch the Colts, I saw it multiple times this past Sunday, where Daniel Jones just has a hard play action to Jonathan Taylor. He rolls out to the right. Tyler Warren is coming across the field. You dump the ball off. He's 3 yards in front of you, and Tyler Warren can run 40 yards because he's that athletic. They have A.J. Brown and Smitty and Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley, guys that if you get the ball in space can make something happen. But they don't really have those easy buttons. Same thing when you're watching the Detroit Lions. We saw it on Monday Night Football. I was going crazy going up against Amon-Ra St. Brown in fantasy. How many times is Amon-Ra just wide open? Like, there is nobody around him. He is just wide open because they have such a great play caller and scheme and ways to manipulate defenses with pre-snap movement and motion and all of this stuff that goes into offense that we know works, but that the Eagles just haven't done yet up until Sunday. Because Sunday, there was a bit of a change in philosophy. Up until Sunday, the Eagles didn't complete a single under center play action pass. So for the first 6 weeks of the season, Jalen Hurts was not under center, ran play action, and completed a pass. Didn't do that one time. But against the Vikings, he had 4 attempts, 4 completions for 120 yards and a touchdown. They went to it. They said, you know what? Let's look around the NFL. Let's look at all these offenses, the Rams, for example, all these guys that go under center and run play action. It makes it more difficult on the defense. It's easier to sell the play action too, right? You got to, especially when it comes to these hard play actions, when you're looking at like an outside zone, because the running back just has such a different angle when you're under center compared to being in shotgun. It's just a lot more room for the defense to have to account for. So it puts more stress on the defense. And when you have guys like Smitty and A.J. Brown who can win down the field, that's when you see some of these explosive plays finally get hit. So it was awesome to see the Eagles and Kevin Patullo go under center more. I'm hoping we see it more in the future. But this Vikings game it was more about Hurts just being great. It was about him hitting those deep shots that he was missing in that Giants game where he missed the 80, 90-yard touchdown to Smitty. He hit it today. He hit 2 touchdowns to A.J. Brown, one on the left side, one on the right side. I thought he was fantastic. I think he's getting shut on just a little bit too much. Again, when it comes to Jalen Hurts and it comes to the Eagles, you have these two very, radical approaches where you have Eagles fans who think he's the best thing since sliced bread, and you have haters who think he's not a starting level quarterback and Tanner McKee should be starting. I try to find myself somewhere in the middle. He's a top 10-ish quarterback. On a great day, he could be the sixth or seventh best quarterback. But on his bad days, like that Giants game, you're like, God damn, man, there's too much talent here for you to play this poorly. So that was the Jets. That was Drake May. That was Jalen Hurts. We're at 30 minutes right now. I'll give just a quick, maybe 5 minutes about the Celtics. I know this is NFL talk, but we'll just do a quick 5 minutes. This is the most unique season for the Celtics, at least in the last like 5 to 7 years. You don't have Jason Tatum, and there's no expectations. I was thinking, this Friday they play the Knicks, I believe, and typically when I'm watching Celtics games, like my heart's pounding, even a regular season, my heart's pounding, my hands get sweaty, I'm getting nervous. Not this year. Like I really have no expectations for this team. I'm excited to see what Payne Pritchard and Derek White and Jaylen Brown can do in an expanded offensive role. I think Payne Pritchard could be a guy that averages close to 20 points per game. I think Derek White can flirt with an all-star game. I think Jaylen Brown is going to have himself a great season. But the fact that there's no expectations on this team, I don't want to say it makes it fun because they're the only team I look at year in and year out like, yo, this team better win the damn title or else I'm going to be sick, because as a Mets and Jets fan, I don't have that luxury as much. But it's maybe just a breath of fresh air to like not be so stressed about the Celtics and not have these agendas about Jason Tatum and, oh my God, he missed his fourth quarter shot, and is he going to have a great second game of the second round of the playoffs against Cleveland? He only dropped 18 points. Like, all of that's kind of gone now. And I think this season, at least the Celtics are playing with house money, but this roster is going to look completely different this time next year, right? When we're going into the 2026 season, I don't think it's going to be Nimi Keita as your starting center. I don't think Anthony Simons is going to be on this team. I don't think Sam Hauser is going to be in the starting lineup. So I'm just excited to see what some of these young guys have and some of these guys on 1 to 2 year prove-it deals have, because I think from this roster that we have right now, there's maybe outside of like the obvious, top 5 that are here to stay, and whether that's, Pritchard, Hauser, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. I feel like I might be forgetting somebody, but the key guys, Anthony Simons maybe. But outside of those like 4 to 5 guys, who are the 1 to 2 players that are going to show this year that we belong on this team when we're ready to go win a championship in 2026? Who's going to stand out? Whether that's Keita, whether that's some of these younger wings that we picked up, which of these guys are going to stand out among the best and get Joe Mazzulla's trust? Is it going to be Jordan Walsh in his third season? It can be Baylor Shireman, who struggled so far in the preseason. Or is it going to be some of these free agents that maybe show up out of nowhere and play good defense and start hitting some 3-point shots? So it's a weird year in Celtics land, but I think we're going to get some hilarious Joe Mazzulla quotes. I think we're going to get some fun games from the Celtics team. They're still going to shoot a shit ton of threes. They're still going to be competitive night in, night out. I know Celtics fans, and even me included, want this team to tank, right? I want a Boozer. I want a AJ. I want one of these top prospects that look like franchise-altering pieces. But I also know Joe Mazzulla. I know Brad Stevens. I don't think they're capable of tanking. I don't think at any point Joe Mazzulla is going to be okay with losing a game or trying to lose a game or saying, you know what, Jaylen Brown, you're right, take an extra game off. It's just not his DNA. That's just not how his brain is wired. They're going to try to win every single game, which probably means they win like 35 to 40 games. Maybe if Tatum comes back a bit earlier than expected, like say March, for example, can they sneak to around 500? It's possible, but they're probably a playing team at best. I don't think they're a top 6 seed, but when you look at the East, the top 6 seed, like, yeah, the Bucks can fall off, and he's Giannis, but the team around him is terrible. The Sixers, can you really trust the Sixers? And then beyond that, it's like we're banking on a Hawks jump, we're banking on a Magic jump. There's just not a lot of clarity in the Eastern Conference where the Celtics can be a playoff team even if they win 39 games. So that's my Celtics rant. Went over a lot of stuff today. I'm trying to post once a week, probably Tuesdays or Wednesdays, to give you my thoughts on the NFL. Maybe once the NBA season comes around, some Boston Celtics thoughts. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you next time.